Hey there, magical experimenters. This is Taylor Elwood, your mad scientist and magical experimenter. In the background, there's Tilly, who's just kind of getting himself comfortable on the bed, so you could say hello to him too. Um, Today, I actually wanted to talk about something I've been talking about quite a bit I've been writing about it in my blog. I've been writing about the aesthetics of magic, and today I shared a post where I was talking about why you need to question your aesthetics of magic, and I was providing some exercises. And my one friend Felix said, "Well, are you going to share like your answers to that?" And I was like, "Well, really, I'm going to share that like for the class because I'm actually putting together a bonus lesson for the process of magic class." And In fact, hey, if you haven't yet, check out the Principles of Magic Challenge because that is relevant to the process of magic. You can find the link below. But getting back to the matter at hand, I thought about it and I'm like, I actually should take the time to answer that question really and share it. And I'm gonna write about it in the lesson. But I'm gonna share a couple of examples of my own experimentation with the aesthetics of magic. First example I'm going to share with you is actually around social media meme magic. Actually, for a long time, I was really resistant to the idea of using social media for magic. That may seem odd because I'm all about pop culture magic. Like, why wouldn't I be? But part of it was because I was kind of like I was trying to wrap my head around like how would that even work. And eventually, I started to think about it, and I figured some things out, and I started started using it. But what really helped me to wrap my head around it was when I realized that part of my issue came down to feeling uncomfortable with doing graphics. Because really, if you want to create an effective meme on Facebook, you need graphics. And I'm not a graphic design person at all. And as Felix would tell you, my aesthetics my aesthetics, my awareness of color and things like that, isn't that great. He would tell you that because like he saw me put together some of my initial memes and they were horrible, absolutely horrible looking. Like I would pick this garish color of red or green, but that was my initial thing. I was just taking random pictures, and I used the site called Canva.com, which I highly recommend. Um, in fact, if you look in the description underneath the link to the Principles of Magic mini class, you can find a link to Canva as well. So check that out. Um, but what helped me get around it was first discovering a site, in this case Canva.com, where I could make my actual memes. And pardon me if I'm looking down occasionally. I'm using this microphone, so like the tendency is actually to look at the microphone, which I know I shouldn't be doing, but there you go. I'm just telling you that in the interest of transparency, so you're not like, why is he looking down occasionally? That's why. Okay, so anyway, getting back to the matter at hand, what I ended up doing is I got onto Canva.com, and yes, initially I found some random pictures that I could reuse for commercial purposes. I made sure of that. And then I put some text on there and some garish in garish colors because I was like, ooh, it's bright red. It's got to be good. Bright red's good for everything. And that was my initial aesthetics when it came to social media magic. Now, Felix actually sat me down one day and he said, look, I got to help you with this because this is just killing my eyes every time I look at your memes. And I was like, okay. So he told me, he's like, you need to change some of your colors and your things like that. And here's how you can do that. And he showed me like gradients and ways to look at color in a different way. And it really opened my eyes to the aesthetics of how you apply color to graphics. And I didn't do anything initially for a little while, but then I ended up taking a class on Facebook groups, and one of the things that they focus on in the class is promo posts, or not promo posts, but like Facebook posts, like posts for your group. And so one of the things I started doing is I took Felix's advice and I started putting together, like kind of creating my own posts, and I just started putting them up this last week on the Facebook, on the Magical Experiments and Process of Magic group. But I thought about like what colors should go there. Okay, and what else should be in it? And the magic of it really is that the magic involved is that I'm essentially trying to promote the prompt responses, right? Get people to respond and interact and to really make the group pop. And so the magic in it is that, of the meme is that, there's a question there, and that it prompts response, that it prompts a thing, and that and the embedding of the magic into that is that we really the focus of the magic is we want to encourage people to be interacting and be coming to the group and using it as a resource, and excited to be on the group and happy that they're part of the group. So that's kind of the overall focus. It's a fairly passive form of magic. It's basically just activated by the person seeing the meme, and then if they feel the focus of the magic is just encouraging some type of response, some type of interaction. And really the idea then is to evoke that continued interaction, not just on the part of, but really to evoke it from other people in the group. That if someone sees an interaction, then other people will see the interaction, and will continue to build up the energy of the group, build up really the egregore of the group, because what we're dealing with is we're creating an entity out of the Facebook group itself. And so there, in this case, the aesthetics was really about me learning certain skills that I didn't really have, or at least starting to learn some of those skills, and starting to try some things with magic where I utilize those skills. Trying to experiment with color, figuring out what shades would go with what and how it would look, and figuring out like what I would build into that work that would allow me to reach out and connect to people and encourage connection and response on their part. So that's one example of me working with aesthetics, working with something I wasn't necessarily comfortable with, and challenging my aesthetics. And I'm certainly going to be doing some further work down the line with it. Another example, just need some water there. Another example of the aesthetics of magic work that I've been doing, or that I've done over the years, has really been a shift away to some degree from watercolor to actual to using colored pencils. I've had colored pencils for a while, but I wasn't really using them. I was using watercolor for my magical work. But then I decided recently, in the last few months, I decided to start doing some impressionistic drawings with the coloring pencils. And so I decided to use them instead as magical tools, because I wanted to see what would happen when I used them, how I would feel. Would it be similar to the paintings I had already done? Would there be a difference? What would it be like to work with a somewhat different medium, doing the same thing but using a different medium? And what I discovered is that in some ways there were some challenges with the colored pencils that weren't there with the painting, but in some ways there were some benefits. The challenges with the colored pencils was figuring out the right amount of pressure to use, so you didn't break the pencil. Because like when you're coloring, you can put a fair amount of pressure on something. And actually break the tip of the pencil, and then you got to sharpen it, which can take a little while. Not fun, Of course, I'm using this rinky-dinky thing to sharpen, so that may be part of the problem right there. But what I also found is that as I worked on the pressure awareness and I lightened up the pressure, that it also allowed me to control the depth of color that I wanted to put into the thing. And so I started experimenting with again, the color depth. Again, this was thanks to Felix. And starting to apply that to some of the drawings that I was doing, and some of the spiritual work that was being done in conjunction with the drawings. So that's another example. But see, I'm using primarily artistic examples, so I want to use one other example in terms of the aesthetics of magic, and some way that I've changed up some of the aesthetics that I've done or used in my magical practice. So I would have to say that I am not a huge fan. I've never been a huge fan of traditional magical tools. No, that's not true. There was a time when I was, actually. If you'd known me in my in my college days, actually, I had the athame, I had the sword, I had the staff and the cup. I actually would do full out ceremonial magic. That was the aesthetic of my magical practice for a good portion of my early 20s, and I would actually do this with a group of people. Well, I'd get some people together and we'd do magic, and I would kind of lead the ritual. But my aesthetics changed, and part of it was because I began to ask myself, like, how much did I really need these particular tools? And actually, you can see the one staff in the back over, yeah, that way, there, that staff right there. That's something I've had since I was 18 years old. Over half my life. God, that's kind of scary. Over half my life I've had that staff. Anyway, getting back to the matter at hand. My aesthetics changed because what I decided to do is I decided to start taking a minimalistic approach. Like, what could I go with that didn't involve using traditional tools? And I would say it's continued to evolve. Like, my aesthetics as an example. So I'm going to show you some of the tools I use now because this is a good way to demonstrate this. So hold on for one moment. This is one of the aesthetics this is one of the examples of a tool that I use. It's an actual magic box that I created. Well, I didn't create. I've had this box for even longer than I've had that staff, but I never really used it. And in this case, the box. This is the box, right? There's a little thing on the inside. Okay, I painted it, and I use it for space-time magic work. And so when I'm doing space-time magic work, I'll put my hands like on the sides, kind of like that, and I'll allow my consciousness to drift using the box. The box basically is a gateway to the web of space and time. And so it's not a strictly ceremonial approach to working with magic. Instead, it's the case of creating specialized tools for magical practice. Because I find it useful to create your own specialized tools. Or in some cases, to take the work that other people have done and transform them into specialized tools. Case in point, this is another tool that I use in my space-time magic work. I'll usually actually set this up. And I only got this like around my birthday, so I've only just started recently using it. But I'll use it in my space-time magic work as another way to connect with the space-time magic medium. So my aesthetics of magic shifted from using ceremonial tools to actually taking for a long time, a very minimalistic approach with really no tools, to taking up tools again, but this time using very specialized tools for very specific forms of magic. And so there you have it. There are the answers to my exercises. And I'm going to share this up on YouTube and on my blog. This video is actually also going to end up in the Process of Magic class as one of the bonus lessons. And so if you're interested in the Process of Magic class, well, you know what? I'll include a link to that one below too. No, actually I won't. I'll just tell you, go check out the Principles of Magic, and then if you're, that, which is free. And if you're interested in that, check out the Process of Magic class after that. All right, take care, and thanks for watching.